the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
Assume the role of a mysterious outsider who claims to be a fabled mystic from long ago. You enter the world of the Wildlands during a time of great unrest, where war and mistrust have sown deep divisions across the continent. As you wield your influence to amass support, you must choose. Will you use that power to bring unity amongst the clans of the Wildlands, or will you seek domination?
Does that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me neither, but this is a story of Arkon, a new card game that's currently on Kickstarter, and tonight we're lucky enough to have on Casey Hill, who is the creator mastermind behind this great game. Is that correct? Is that how you fall into line with the whole thing, Casey?
Yes, that is correct. Thanks for having me, Blake.
No problem. Yeah, thanks for joining us on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf. We really appreciate it. Now let's rewind a little bit if we could, Casey. We don't have to go all the way back unless you were born into card games and tabletop board gaming. But how did you get into tabletop gaming, or do you play board games or just card games?
Yeah, I definitely play both board games and card games. I grew up in a family of 7, so since I was actually pretty young, we were always playing games and kind of making our own custom variant rules for existing games. And that was definitely a staple of young adulthood and even at childhood as well.
Oh, wow, me too. I'm the oldest of 7. Where do you fit in line?
I'm middle child. So older brother, older sister, younger sister.
Well, there you go. Cool beans. And did you play games like, I don't know, Skip-Bo, or what kind of games did you have?
Yeah, we played a lot of different ones. I think that when we were young, we started with a lot of the staples, the Risks and the Monopolies and those common ones. And then I got really into Magic with my brothers about the time I hit around middle school. So we started playing more of those strategic, tactical type of games. And then really over the last, I would say maybe 5 to 6 years of my life, I've gotten really into a lot of the even deeper strategic games like Scythe, or a lot of those types of even slightly heavier games. But I enjoy a wide array of kind of across the board in terms of genre.
Oh, okay. And I know with role-playing games, at least, I don't know how it is with board games, but it even seems like with board games, some of the people I've talked to and whatnot, that they go on hiatus. They'll play games and then go on a hiatus. Did that ever happen to you, or you just been playing ever since middle school or whatnot?
I think I've been playing, different types of games, but I totally hear you. I think it goes through kind of different hiatuses, if you will, where I'm playing different types of things. I've had times where I was like really into Magic and that was the major thing I was doing. And then other times where I was playing a lot of just general board games, and then other times where I was playing a little bit, but I was working on more the creative side of testing my own kind of stuff. So it really oscillated, I think, through time.
Oh, okay, cool beans. And now, so it seems with it keep constantly changing and whatnot. So currently, do you have a favorite game, board game, or card game? I don't think I can let you pick Arkon, because if I let you pick that, my fans might drag me out into the street and have me hung.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. A card game that I really love is Star Realms. That's one that I really enjoy. The game itself is actually quite different from something like Arkon. Star Realms is a deck builder, but it has that same played from one central deck, quick strategic type of gameplay that I think really resonates with me. So Star Realms and Magic the Gathering, I know that's kind of one of those staples, but still something I really enjoy, and I don't get to play it as much nowadays, but I still do the occasional draft in MTG, and I really like that as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I love Star Realms. That's actually one of the games that got me into it. And I was trying to figure out where I saw that mechanic. For the life of me, I couldn't figure it out, but like where, even though I told my wife or my kids that you kind of have the bases or whatnot, where like if I end up getting one of the clan members or whatnot, they end up giving me extra points to be able to gain the other clans if we were playing it correctly, which I think we were. So that's where it come from. I knew I just couldn't pin it on my head for some reason.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of an added advantage, that you get in Arkon gameplay. I think that's something, those tight, small games for me have always resonated, just because it's something that you can pick up fast, you can learn the rules quickly, but they have a lot of replay value. I think that's the kind of model that I like, and the kind of model we tried to emulate with Arkon.
Oh, okay. So do you have all the expansions on the Star going back to Star Realms? Do you have all the expansions and whatnot?
Yeah, we have a lot. I don't know if we have every single one. We just backed Frontiers on Kickstarter recently, but I think we have about maybe 3 or 4 expansions. So I'm not sure if we're missing any, but I think we got the majority of them.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, we missed this last Kickstarter. Hopefully, we'll be able to get it later on. But yeah, we missed that. But also, it's been a while because I had another phone and then it went kapooey on me and whatnot. And I used to have an iPad, but it went kapooey as well. We also have the app or whatnot. I just haven't been able to download it. Whatnot. I know Richard Simpson, who you were on his podcast a while back ago, he talks about he plays the app a lot. Do you play both the app and the card game, or?
Yeah, for me, I just do the card game. I haven't actually done the app. I've heard good things again from Richard when I was chatting with him. He's telling me how I really enjoyed the app. But yeah, I've always done the physical version myself.
Oh, okay, cool. And have you followed any of the other games that are use the same are based off of that? I know there was even though TMG ended up getting the rights to it, but there's Chuthulu Realms that's really similar.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Chuthulu Realms, but I've never actually played that one. There's such a long list. It's funny when you get really immersed in this thing. There's just kind of an endless list of so many awesome games that you want to try out. So I have a very long list of things I want to acquire, and I actually just got Pandemic Legacy, and me and my wife are hoping to play that one soon because that gets so much attention. But yeah, no, I haven't played Chuthulu Realms yet, but definitely on the list.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It has the same feel, but then nobody will really play it with me. I guess my son likes it, but the iconography is kind of scary compared to Star Realms, which it was a lot simpler.
Sure, that's fair.
Those were my thoughts. And then, so it sounds like do you just have a list, or do you also have what do they call them? A shelf of shame, a bunch of games you have that you haven't brought to the table?
The shelf of shame. I don't have, so I think we've played most of the ones that I have. There's only a few that I think that we haven't gotten to. Right now, I think Terraforming Mars and Pandemic Legacy are the 2 on our list that we haven't gotten to tackle yet.
Well, there you go. Cool. We must have bought, I think it's the first Pandemic a long time ago, but have yet to pick it up. Is it, are you a Pandemic fan?
Yeah, I actually just played Pandemic this week, just the regular version. And yeah, it's a fun game. It's, I think the cooperative game model was something that was really defined. And I think that was a really seminal, work in that genre, Pandemic was. And so I have a lot of respect for Matt Leacock, the founder, and kind of what he's built with that. So yeah, I have fun with it, definitely.
Well, that's cool. So you're excited about the other one. I know I talked to somebody a little bit ago, just recently, about the Risk, the Legacy Risk or whatnot. I didn't really pay all that much attention, but people have been talking about the Pandemic Legacy and whatnot. And I guess where that means you keep updating your game as you're playing. Is that what that kind of means?
I think so. Yeah. I haven't run it either, but yeah, my impression is that it's like this live legacy type of game model where you keep playing more and more versions, and certain things in the game are permanently changing as you go through these different episodes and these different renditions. So yeah, it sounds really interesting to me. So I haven't got a chance to play it yet, but hopefully soon.
Cool. Yeah. You could have been playing right now, but instead you're coming on the podcast, which we greatly appreciate.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So cool. Yeah. So there's not too many games that you haven't got to the shelf. Hopefully you'll be able to get that to the shelf, but you're probably really busy. So yeah, especially right now. So let's talk about, I guess, the elephant in the room or whatnot. The word on the street is you have a game on Kickstarter currently. What can you tell us about that, Casey?
Yeah. So we just launched a game, and we launched on February 1st. We've been up for about a week. Game is called Arkon. It's a non-linear, fast-paced strategy bidding game is kind of typically how I describe it. 2 of the big components, in our eyes at least, kind of as designers of the game, that were really critical is, number 1, bidding. And we wanted to do this dynamic bidding. And essentially how bidding works in Arkon is when you want to earn a clan, and to win Arkon, you need to get 4 clans out, 1 of each type or 4 of one. In order to bring it out, you need to bid for it with cards in your hand. And that bidding dynamic was an important piece of our development because that's how we really invited in a lot of interaction. we saw that what happened in a lot of these kind of strategy-based games, once more players got involved at the table, there was more lull and downtime as players were kind of interacting typically with like one other player, either attacking them or playing spells on them, etc. So what we wanted to do was have bidding be this universal phase that everyone was contributing and getting involved with on each player's turn. And so we found that to create a lot more interaction. And then we also wanted to push this idea of multi-use cards. So having cards that can be played in different ways. And so the key behind that was so there'd be less of this dead card in hand phenomenon, where you draw a hand and you're looking at your cards and you're like, shoot, I can't play anything. With the model of everything being able to be used for influence for a bid, as well as having other utilities like being able to be played as an action or a counter, that was to essentially create a lot more options so people were kind of constantly dynamically looking at what they had available on the table.
Okay, yeah, that sounds really fun. Well, let's quickly pause for our Kickstarter Corner, and then we'll be right back for that, so we can find out more about this great game.
It's time for Kickstarter Corner. To begin now. Welcome to You Know What. So we're going to talk about Anklebiters again. So it is a Pixie versus Gremlins. So that sounds really fun. Pixies and Gremlins face off in this slight strategy, whimsical card game. They have got past their goal like you've known. They have 264 backers, 19 days, and they end on Wizard Leaf's birthday, March 3rd.
March 8th.
Never mind, March 8th. At 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay, now we're going to talk about Battledigm. I think that's how you say it. It's a fast-paced two-player deck-building card game. They have 13 days to go, and they end on Saturday on Wizard Leaf's birthday at March 3rd, 11:25 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Ascendant Destiny, a flexible tabletop fantasy RPG, a soon-to-be-published high fantasy tabletop RPG with 14-year-olds of playtesting and improving. They're almost to their goal. They have 5 days to go. They end on February 23rd. Yeah. Next is Dungeons of Infinity. Okay, so as I was saying, we've played this before.
What does this say again? Go ahead.
It's Dungeons of Infinity. Dungeons of Infinity is a board game for 1 to 5 players. It features random dungeon creation, solo, co-op, competitive, or story mode. And I have a thing to tell you. So, this is your destiny. To play this and find a princess in a treasure chest. They have 130 backers, 29 days to go. They have till March 19th this year, 7:08 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And yeah, it's a fun game. I Am the Greatest Hero Edition. A hip pocket superhero card game. Fast pace, play, great fun, and unique art. Each game is different. Become the greatest hero. They have 9 backers and 27 days to go. So they say Friday, March 16th this year, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
We'll be reviewing that.
And then someone reviewed it. The Mighty Meeple reviewed I Am the Greatest. And yeah, So fun. And now I have to tell you something. I have taken over Kickstarter Corner.
Okay, done.
And now I will sign off so you can hear the rest of your episode.
Okay, so done.
Princess Leaf signing off the floor.
Okay, we're back. Thanks, Casey, for waiting for that. Yeah, we really appreciate it. So the way we found out about your game, a little bit more about it, was the Tantrum House. I guess they had a extra copy of your game, and they said, "Are there any reviewers out there who would be real willing to review this? This game's about to launch on Kickstarter and whatnot." And we sent them a quick email, and they sent us a game, and then we got in contact with you and whatnot, and. Yeah, it's a really fun game. So you talk about collecting clans or whatnot. So are they like, let's see, is it a bunch of fairies or what kind of clans are you collecting in this game?
Yeah, so it's kind of a standard high fantasy vibe when it comes to clans themselves. You got elves, dwarves, orcs, and humans. So some of kind of the standard races. And then in the game itself, you're assuming the role of an Arkon, which is this mysterious outside race. And the thematically, the game essentially is that there's all of these supposed Arkons who are coming in, all claiming to be the true Arkon, who's kind of this fabled character from in the past. So that's kind of the idea behind that.
Oh, okay, cool. And you talk of the multi-use cards and whatnot, and where they do a lot of different things, like where it looks like they have in playing and whatnot. We really enjoyed it. But there was like. You can use them as actions, and then you can also use them as bidding. So it looks like there's 3 or 4 different phases in turn. Like if we were to sit down to play this game, me and you, Casey, how would a play look? I mean, how would it sound? This is a podcast after all.
Yeah. So here's basically how it would work. So we sit down to play. The first thing, let's say it was my turn. The first thing I would do is I would choose to play any cards as actions during my first phase. My first phase is an action phase. So I might play a card like Thievery. Thievery says I get to look at your hand and I get to take 1 card from it. So I'd play down that card as an action, put it in the discard pile, take a card from you, and then I might decide, okay, I'm ready to now try to win a clan. So I'd move to my second phase, bidding phase. I would put a card up in the middle, and then I would put a certain number of cards face down. Let's say I choose 2. So I place 2 of my cards face down, and then now it's your turn to choose whether you want to bid against me. So essentially, every time there's a bidding phase, every player is able to put cards down from their hand to essentially do a bid, right? So you would place some number of cards down, and then based on you putting those cards down, we would flip and we would see essentially who had the highest numbers.
Okay, and in playtesting, I don't know if you ever got this, but in playing with my 9 and 10-year-old, they, on their bids, at least at the first of the game, they were constantly putting all 4 or 5 of their other cards down. Did you ever get that as bids?
Yeah, sometimes people go kind of aggressive. Typically, I think people kind of learn that if they play out their whole hand, then that's kind of a risky play. But one of the nice things about this game too is that if you put at least 1 card up for bid in your turn, you draw an extra card, and then every turn, every player draws a card. So cards are refreshing in your hands pretty quick. If it's my turn and I put at least 1 clan up, I'm getting 2 new cards, then you go and I get another card. So by the time it's my turn again, I have 3 new cards, right? And so, and that's in 2-player, right? And if there's 4-player, then I'm getting 1 card every single person's turn back to myself. So I might be using cards in between those turns defensively or for bids, but the card replenishment typically moves pretty quick, which is how it kind of lets you stabilize if you do, make a move where you lose a lot of cards at once.
Okay, cool. And then I didn't see this on the because I watched the Tantrum House's review or whatnot, or their gameplay, where they say you do that, where you have the action phase, like where you put the Thievery down or another card, and then do that action, or you can do, I guess you can play as many actions as you want, and then you put guards up for bid. But then it said something about there being another action phase, but it didn't seem like they did. So how does that go?
Yeah, so basically it just means that if you want to play another card, an action afterwards, you can. So let me give you an example. So you put a card up for bid and you put 2 cards face down. Let's say those 2 cards you put face down were cards that could be played as actions, right? So you put your 2 cards down and then you lose the bid. So the only person who pays for their cards is the one who wins the bid. So because you lose the bid, you get your 2 cards back. So because you now have those cards back, you could decide, okay, well, I wasn't able to win this clan, so instead I want to play this card now as an action. So then during your second action phase, the advantage there is that you kind of can first try to do your top priority, which might be to win a clan, and if that doesn't work, you get your cards back, and then you can try to do another action during your second action phase.
Okay, and so that makes sense. So like if I missed it, and then not to be a spoiler or whatnot, but there's other cards where I can go ahead and I could actually steal the clan that they just took from me on the bidding process.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, so say you have something like a conquest that says take a card from another player and you have to give a card at random from your hand. That would be an example that you could play that during your second action phase for someone else who just took that clan, and then you could try to steal it back.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we didn't play that way either, but that makes more sense now that you say that. I hadn't seen it done, but that's cool with the second action phase. I really like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So in playtesting and whatnot, going back to that, was there ever anything in this game that you guys had to scrap because it just wouldn't work?
Yeah, I mean, we a lot. Throughout the development, we were in development of this game for well over a year, and we play tested this a lot. I mean, we went all across California. We did a ton of play tests. And so constantly what we were doing is we would have sheets where people would fill out their feedback, and we'd ask very targeted questions, right? Like, how was the game won? Was there any specific cards that seemed imbalanced? Was there anything that was confusing? Like, we would gather these, and then we'd look for trends. So for instance, if someone told us, I think this card is really unbalanced, we would note that. But it would be when 10 people said it or 20 people said it, it would be, okay, this is a trend, and now we need to go to change it. So in terms of overarching things, the biggest change we made was actually the introduction of bidding. Initially, in the first iterations, it kind of worked more as like a conventional mana system. It was like we had all these multi-use cards. We had the simple counter dynamic where you can play the matching card to counter their effect. Those were both in the game. But we noticed that it was missing that bringing all those players in, and we were sitting down during one of our design sessions and we said, what about having some sort of bidding type of dynamic? We tested that, and immediately we started getting way better responses during our playtest, and it was like, within a couple playtests, we realized, okay, this is a huge improvement. So that was actually one of the biggest changes that happened in the game.
Oh, cool. And what's the thing you're most proud of about this game, Casey?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that are pretty neat. Number one, I mean, just looking at it right now, the fact that we got over 500 people that are with us on this journey and standing behind us to help make this dream a reality is amazing, right? Like that to me is one thing. As a first-time founder, I'm just super honored and humbled that people have come together over this project that we poured so much time and energy into. That's something that, first off, I'm super grateful for. And then in terms of the game, I was really glad. For me, I love art and I love lore. And I was just really, again, grateful for how all of that synergized and came together in the game. We had, a cartographer who did the maps. We had 2 graphic designers. We had 2 different artists. And they just worked so well and complementary with each other. We showed, our art was done by different artists, but we'd show people the 4 clans and we'd say, can you tell which artist did which pieces? And the vast majority of the time they couldn't. They couldn't tell you which artist did which ones, which to me was great. That meant that the art flowed and was very complementary with the other art pieces.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, the art is pretty cool, pretty stellar on that or whatnot. And you said you had how many artists doing it again?
We had 2 artists, 2 graphic designers, and 1 cartographer who did the maps on the back of the cards.
Oh, okay, cool. That's pretty cool. So awesome. And do you have a favorite clan or?
Favorite clan? Oh, that's a good one. I think I would have to go with the Orc clan if I was to choose one.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's what I was trying to use when I was playing against my kids the other day. So yeah, that's a pretty cool clan or whatnot. Now on the bottom of your Kickstarter, I don't know exactly what it is entirely, but is it a wooden box in dealing with Arkon?
Yeah, we're super excited about that. We thought for a long time we wanted to have some sort of premium tier, and we were really wondering, what could we do? What could we put out there that would be this premium tier? And we eventually got in touch with someone who did woodworking, and what they showed us is they could actually take one of our images, and instead of just like a simple logo, which is what we'd usually seen, you do a box and it has a little logo, we took an entire map, which is very intricate and detailed, and we essentially are going to laser engrave it into the wood. And, we're still tinkering with the images a little bit and making sure we get it just perfect. But the prototypes so far are coming across really nice. And so we're thrilled to put that together. And I personally haven't seen, another company that has done something that intricate and detailed in the engraving on the wood. So we think that's going to be really special, and we're really excited about that.
And it looks like that's the designer edition, the $100 pledge. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's our highest pledge, our designer edition.
Oh, cool. And what are the other tiers that you can back at?
Yeah, so our base game is $20 plus shipping for wherever you're at. And then we have the one above that is $36. That's essentially just to get 2 copies of the game. And the shipping stays the same. So if you want to get one for yourself and get one for a friend. And then we have the designer tier. We just have 3 tiers right now. We just kind of wanted to keep that simple. So that's the different ways you can back Arkon.
Cool. And I saw something exciting. I imagine you see everybody who comes across, but it looks like Rob Daughtery, the creator of Star Realms, is actually a backer on there.
Yeah, we're super honored and humbled. We got Rob, we have Jamey Stegmaier, we have the folks over at Druid City Games, just a lot of people that were super helpful mentors as we were going through this process. Very, very honored and humbled to have them on board and supporting us in this project.
Cool beans. Now, if people don't want to necessarily take your word for it, or they aren't necessarily perusers of Kickstarter as I am or whatnot, are there any notable reviewers or anybody else reviewing the game that they might be able to check out or whatnot?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was another really critical thing. When you're a first-time founder, like I am, a huge thing was to essentially get as much customer proof as we could. So one of the ways we did that is we tried to get as many people that played the game to review us on Board Game Geek and other mediums like that, so we could get that stuff out there. And then we did a ton of reviews. So if you even just go onto the Kickstarter page and scroll down to reviews, you'll see that we have them from Druid City, we have them from Undead Viking, we have them from Edo, we have them from Everything Board Games, just a ton. So you can go on there and see we have written reviews, we have video reviews, we have playthroughs. So that's the cool thing, is you can go on there, check it out, and see if it's the game style that kind of fits with what you're interested in. Definitely, we give you that opportunity on the page.
Well, there you go. Cool beans. Now, so somebody's been listening to the podcast, and they've probably they've fallen asleep, so they missed what we were talking about. It wasn't because of you or your game, but now they're awake. They've been jolted awake, so they don't hit the oncoming traffic. And they wouldn't, like I said, didn't fall asleep because of you or your game. It's probably because of me and my podcast. We started last year in May and had 100 episodes out by the end of the year. And at the time of this recording, first part of February, I think we have like 20 episodes out or whatnot. So they get a little tired of my voice and whatnot. But now they're up and they have your full attention, Casey. Why should they take a chance on Arkon, especially with all the other great games they have on Kickstarter currently? Especially, I noticed so as soon as it was right at the end of January or whatnot, it just went crazy. I imagine with hate being over or whatnot, or maybe the first part of February was like 20 plus games dropped that first day of February.
Yeah. So first off, there is absolutely a ton of remarkable games. That's definitely true. I think Arkon is a really great fit if you're looking for something quick, portable, fast, with high replay value. If you're the kind of people that like playing games like Star Realms, like playing games like Magic, if you're looking for something else in that genre that's very interactive, that has some unique mechanics, if you're looking for something that's non-linear. So another thing that's interesting about Arkon is a lot of games have kind of a snowball effect. When we say non-linear, what we mean is that Arkon is very much kind of like a hand-building game where you're building up different combinations in hand, and someone can have 3 clans on the table and you can have 0, and you can still be in a good position. So that's what we mean when we say non-linear. It's not like someone just keeps getting stuff and it snowballs out and you can't stabilize. Arkon's definitely a game where you are in the game for the whole scope of that game. So I think the kind of people that would enjoy this are the kind of people that are into strategically deep, high replay value, but also games that have a lower barrier of entry. If you're looking to take, you have maybe a lot of games that take a lot of setup and have a kind of a high learning curve, and you want something that is a little just quicker and easier to pick up. Normally when we go to playtest, we have people on board and kind of comfortable with Arkon within the first 5 to 10 minutes. So that would be the kind of people I think would probably be a good fit for it.
Okay, I don't want to give any spoilers about our review that's up and coming, but I thought I was doing pretty good, and then my 9-year-old daughter, she was doing pretty good too, and yeah, you'll have to wait to see who actually won the game, but yeah, she seemed to pick it up, even though neither of us is too much into strategy and whatnot. Yeah, it seemed like it was a pretty good game, and they were able to learn it pretty quick.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great to hear.
Cool. So yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, and we'll make sure we leave all the links in the show notes or whatnot, so they won't have to type that all into the page or whatnot. Especially now that they've just woken up, so they're kind of tired, but they'll just be able to click the link or whatnot. So that'd be good. Now, I don't know if you listened to any of our other podcasts or whatnot, Casey, and that's okay if you haven't. But the next portion of the podcast is actually called Adventures in Application Acquisition, where we talk about an app, be it for cell phone, tablet. It could be even a computer app or a video game, something you use a lot of. It doesn't even necessarily have to be related to board gaming or any kind of gaming or whatnot. It can be anything. A while back ago, we had somebody on who had an application where they could take a picture of anything and it would tell them whether or not it was a hot dog. Is there an app you use a lot of we can talk about for a moment, Casey?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. Man, you got me thinking. I use a decent number of apps, but nothing exciting like taking a picture and decoding a hot dog. Most of the apps that I'm using on a regular basis on my phone are either based on my finances or social media related. Like my Messenger, my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter. Yeah, man, I'd have to think. I'm trying to think of if there's any cool ones that I frequent. I might have to take a rain check and circle back to that one. Yeah, the most common ones that I use on my phone are kind of the standard run of the mill ones, to be honest.
Okay, is there one of those that we could talk about for a moment? I know a while back ago somebody talked about Photoshop. We've had somebody talk about Twitter. I think a couple episodes ago, somebody talked about the Twitter app. Is there an application that we can just take a couple minutes on?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm happy to talk on any. I mean, probably the one that I use the most is probably Facebook, to be honest.
Okay, actually, is it the actual Facebook app or the Messenger app?
I use both of them, but I use the Facebook app is what I log into when I'm getting, we get lots of questions into the Arkon page, and that's where I log in through that app typically when I'm on the go, and I'm responding to people from that. And I can also see I have a live feed of all the updates, so when people mention Arkon or they comment something about it, that all pops up on the Facebook app for me as well.
Oh, okay. So how does that work? Because I was doing it for a while there. I got the app or whatnot on my iPad, but then it went kapooey or whatnot. So I stopped using that, and then with my phone, it just takes way too much memory. It seems like any app. So I just go on the online version. What's different in the app compared to just going online or whatnot?
I think that they're probably fairly similar. I think really the app's just kind of done a good job of allowing you to take it on the go, right? It's just an easy interface where you can toggle between, you can see your messages, you can essentially see any kind of updates, you have your standard mobile feed. And I think a lot of people nowadays are on mobile, right? So even, we run ads, and a lot of our ads, when we look at the analytics, a lot of the clicks are coming from mobile. So I think that mobile is just something that nowadays you want to have a presence on when it comes to ads. And I think from a user perspective, it's just easier to be able to navigate and access it from anywhere you're at, even if you don't have your computer with you.
For sure. So in regards to that, the app, if you own the rights to the Facebook app, what would be one thing you would do to what would be one thing you would do to make it a better app?
Oh man, yeah, these are great questions. What would I do to make the Facebook app a better app? One thing that they may be able to do, because Facebook owns things like Instagram, it'd be interesting if the app actually had a functionality within it where you could click through, and maybe people are sitting here thinking, wait, you can do that. I don't think, though, that it's interconnected in with some of those other things like Instagram where you can just click on a button and it takes you straight to there. But that might be another cool way just to even get the integrations tighter.
Okay, so where you could jump back and forth between Instagram and Facebook more readily, I guess?
Yeah, and not even just Instagram, but I mean just any kind of applications that are directly connected to Facebook, have it all kind of in one dash to easily kind of jump between the different things that you need to do. That'd be cool.
Well, there you go. So, and we hope to make a green podcast. So if anybody from either end is ever listening, there you go. You heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leap, what Casey Hill would do to make that a better app. Well, there you go. So Yeah, because this is doing so good and whatnot. Is there any dirt you can provide us with on upcoming projects you might have in the near future, Casey?
Yeah, really right now we are very solely focused on just taking care of everyone that gets behind Arkon and making sure that that's just a really smooth transition with fulfillment and shipping, and we have all those pieces set up. But we're gonna kind of not even have our brains on expansions or next projects or next games until we kind of knock it out of the park for our first group here, and then once we're finished with that, we'll open our minds to kind of what's next, which might be an expansion to Arkon or maybe even a new style game. We'll have to look at that.
Well, there you go. That's a pretty good idea because, yeah, you want to make sure you deliver a good game. It sounds like you've been doing good with the marketing and whatnot. But a while ago, we had on the Unfiltered Gamer, and he talked about where you can make a really good game and not market it very good, or you can make an okay game, market the heck out of it, but then the game isn't all that good or whatnot. So it's better if you can do both because then people will come back later on. And yeah, it's better to focus on that. So that's awesome. So you talk about you want to knock it out of the park, which you're already obviously doing from what I can see there. But you still have about, at the time of this recording, you still have about 3 weeks. So depending on when this releases or whatnot, when do they have to back this project till so they can make sure they get their own copy of Arkon?
Yeah, so we're up till March 3rd. March 3rd, the 30-day campaign starting on February 1st. So yeah, like you said, we got about 3 weeks left where they can get in and back Arkon for this first wave here.
Okay, so the 3rd of March, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome, cool. And yeah, so we'll make sure, like I said, we'll make sure we leave the links in there and whatnot. Minus coming there to, I don't know, you said you did a lot of playtesting in California, so I don't know if you're based out of California, but regardless of where you're at, minus coming to your hometown to stalk you, Casey, how would people go about finding out about Arkon or like after you hit it out of the park and whatnot, like you said, upcoming projects or whatnot, how would they go about stalking you besides going to your hometown? How can they stalk you online or find out what's going on?
Yeah, so all of our social media handles are all at Arkon Game. So if you want to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, any of the channels, it's just at Arkon Game. Our website is arkongame.com. And so you can go there, you can read about our team, you can read about the lore, the storyline behind what's going on here. The rules and the FAQ are all online, so you can click how to play and it'll pull up the whole rules of the game. So all of that is accessible. Just check us out at Arkon Game.
And it's probably better if they do that because they can check the Kickstarter or whatnot so they don't have to keep bugging you like I did because I had a bad firewall at my work, so I had to keep bugging you to try to get the rules and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you can get all that, all the info that I just mentioned is also there on the Kickstarter as well.
Oh, cool! And like we said, we'll leave a link in the show notes or whatnot. And I do like to say, you heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief, but that's not the case. And this time, I know you were released on We're Not Wizards. Can they catch you on any other podcasts or anything like that?
Yeah, we've been on a few. So we spoke with Richard over there. We also spoke with Jack from the Carboard Herold. We also spoke with Cody from the Goblin Gazette. So those are 3 that we've done so far. We have one with Tompet that's coming out probably this next week. We also spoke with Jimmy Hudson from Druid City Games.
Oh, good. Is that one? Yeah, I did recently. Fell in love with that podcast and whatnot. Jimmy Hudson on his podcast. What is it? Is that the Board Game Closet? Maybe.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, do you know if they released that one, or when should we watch for that? Do you know?
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually just shot a message over to Jimmy asking him about that. We recorded it earlier this week, so I'm guessing probably sometime next week it'll drop, but sometime within probably the next 2 weeks, I would guess for sure.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we can look for, and if you get me all those links or whatnot, I can leave show notes because yeah, they might have gotten really tired of my podcast, but this way they can go ahead and click on the other links and listen to you again or listen to the first time if they fell asleep or whatnot.
Sure.
There you go. Cool beans. So yeah, we don't want to keep you all night, but we really appreciate you coming on the show tonight, Casey.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem.
Thanks for joining us on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. If you liked what you heard, go ahead and make sure you go back Arkon, the great game on Kickstarter currently. And if you liked what you heard of my end, if you weren't sleeping the whole way, go ahead and give us a rating or review. that would be great and wonderful and awesome. And go ahead and get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others into the geek fold, and we'll be able to catch you all on the flip side. Also, what do you think about our new Kickstarter Corner introduction music? Let us know. Comment on this post on Facebook or send us an email at gamerleaf@gamerleafgo.com. Would you like to hear your game mentioned during Kickstarter Corner? Would you like to be on Getting Geeky with Gamerleaf? Go ahead and send us an email at gamerleaf@gamerleafgo.com, or the better way to contact us would be actually to email us, or message us on Facebook, either Blake Leafty or at Getting Geeky with Gamerleaf. And yeah, get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others into the geek fold. And this is Gamerleaf signing out.
Game over. Tune in next week to see if Gamerleaf and Dreams are respawned.